We all know that the Steam Deck and Nintendo Switch are different beasts, but that doesn't stop us from comparing the two because, like it or not, they're both handhelds that you can play on a bigger screen. And since the Steam Deck doesn't come with a docking station in the box, you're definitely going to want one for playing Street Fighter 6 with friends or just to enjoy some single-player action on a larger screen. But with dozens of options online and now an official dock from Valve, which one has all the features you need? Let's find out. What we have here today is a third-party dock by a company called GOOJODOQ, who provided the review unit for this video. If you already know what features you need in a dock, then I'll cut this short. It comes in at $30 cheaper than the official dock from Valve, and it does everything it says it can do on the box. But if you're still unsure why you actually need a dock, then let's go through that now. The Nintendo Switch comes with everything you need to play on a big screen except for the screen itself. In the box you get the console, the docking station, power supply, and an HDMI cable. But out of the box, the Steam Deck can only be played on an external display if it has USB-C display alt mode. Displays that have this are more common these days, but it's highly likely that the TV in your living room right now only has standard HDMI ports. That's where the GOOJODOQ's main feature comes in. Place your Steam Deck in the dock, connect the angled USB-C cable, run an HDMI cable from the back of your dock to your TV, and you're big screen gaming. Now the truth is you don't need a $60 dock to do this. For only $10 you can buy a simple USB-C to HDMI adapter and achieve the same thing. But if you've ever tried this, then you already know that a simple adapter is absolutely the worst way to connect your Steam Deck to a display. Why? Simply because the Steam Deck is not a Nintendo Switch. When you drop the Switch into its dock, you can easily remove the Joy-Cons, sit on the couch, enjoy some big screen gaming, and play until you fall asleep. When you connect the Steam Deck using a simple HDMI adapter, you realize that you don't have removable Joy-Cons, you can only sit as far away from the TV as the HDMI cable will allow, the USB-C port is now in use so you can't charge and play at the same time, you have no extra USB ports for wired controllers, your games are laggy because you're relying on Wi-Fi, and then when you've finally found a position where you can kind of play some games, the battery dies and you have to disconnect the monitor anyway. Well, the GOOJODOQ solves all of these issues through its form factor and array of ports on the back. It has a nice padded cradle at the front to place your Steam Deck, the HDMI port connects to your TV, the USB-C port allows you to connect the power supply so you can charge and play at the same time. The Ethernet port allows you to use your faster, more stable wired internet connection. And for accessories, you've got 3 USB-A ports which you can use to connect your mouse, keyboard, controllers, or a USB hub to gain even more ports. It's here that we should point out the main difference between this dock and the official dock from Valve, and that's the display port. If you don't even know what that is, it's highly likely that you don't need it. But having an HDMI port and a display port means that Valve's offering lets you use 2 external displays at the same time. If you include the Steam Deck itself, that's a total of 3 displays, which is potentially useful if you're live streaming or screen recording. You might have 2 monitors, one for gaming and one for chat, and then the Steam Deck screen could be dedicated to something like OBS for broadcasting the stream itself. The other benefit of the official dock is that it includes a power supply. Personally, I think they could have lowered the cost by not including one, but if you mainly carry your Steam Deck and the power adapter on the go, then having a dedicated power supply connected to the dock is much more ideal than plugging it in every time you need to use it. Unlike the Nintendo Switch, however, on Steam Deck, both the GOOJODOQ and the official dock are fully functional even without the power supply connected. You just won't be charging the Steam Deck while playing, and you may have some trouble with more power-hungry accessories. One more difference between the official dock and the one from GOOJODOQ is the speed of the USB ports. The Valve dock supports USB 3.1, which is quite a bit faster than the USB 3.0 ports on the GOOJODOQ. But for most accessories, this isn't an issue. Maybe it's important if you're transferring large files between SSDs all day, but for most gamers who just want to connect to a monitor and a few controllers, it's probably worth just saving the extra $30. While we're talking about the USB ports, I should also mention that they're arranged in a straight line on the GOOJODOQ, which may not seem important, but if you've got a computer with USB ports arranged vertically, then you'll already know that sometimes a whole port will become unusable because certain USB devices, dongles especially, are too thick to fit when other USB devices are nearby. By contrast, the official Valve dock squeezes 3 ports in by stacking 2 of them vertically. For most cables, this is probably fine, but I actually prefer how the GOOJODOQ lines them up all side by side. Now, there are a few issues that arise when you use a dock, but none of what I'm about to mention is specific to the GOOJODOQ, just docking stations in general. First and foremost is the fact that Steam Deck in desktop mode is a wildly different experience to playing in gaming mode. You can just stay in gaming mode when docked, but desktop mode is where you get the most out of having a dock. Just keep in mind that if you do plan to use desktop mode a lot, you should totally get a dedicated power supply, mouse, keyboard, and a separate controller, since you don't want to be trying to use the built-in controls on the Steam Deck while it's stuck in the dock. Since the Steam Deck doesn't have a kickstand, and since I love playing fighting games with friends, a case with a built-in kickstand is an absolute essential for me. Unfortunately, the official dock and this GOOJODOQ are both designed to comfortably fit the Steam Deck, but only when it's not got a case on it. The good news is that it does fit, but the angle becomes so steep that you'd have to raise the Steam Deck up using some books if you want a good viewing angle on the floor or on a tabletop. Maybe someone will make a dock with a front panel that slides out to adjust the angle. Another issue with docks in general is that most of them put the ports on the back. Obviously, this is to keep the height low and to have all the messy cables out of sight, but it definitely takes away from the console feel of the whole experience when you have wired controllers to plug in. The Nintendo Switch isn't much better, but at least it has a couple USB ports on the side, which is already significantly easier to access than opening up the flap on the back of the dock. I actually reviewed a Brook docking station for the Switch a little while back, which actually put USB ports and GameCube controller ports on the front. That design worked really well in making the console gaming experience better, but if you're using the dock to convert your Steam Deck into a fully fledged desktop computer, then I can see where having the ports at the back is cleaner and makes much more sense. Well, that's pretty much all I've got for this review. It's a well-designed dock that keeps the Steam Deck properly ventilated and also keeps it visible if you're using it as a second monitor in desktop mode. At just $60, it has all the ports you need unless you want to run multiple monitors. And since it's compatible with 4K 60 or lower resolutions at 120Hz, you can even experiment with some high refresh rate or high resolution gaming too. Subscribe if you want to see more reviews, comment on what you think is most important in a docking station, and like the video if you haven't done so already. That's all for now. I've been NihongoGamer, and I'll see you real soon.